So, TV shows?
Sure. I've just been going back and watching Doctor Who, but that's about it, which Jason hasn't watched.
I have not seen Doctor Who. I would not know where to begin. Do I want to go all the way back to the 60s? Or
No.
That's a lot of old stuff.
That's a lot of old stuff. You want to go to 2005. Start 2005 and work your way up from there. 1960s. I mean, you can piece it together if you start watching 2005. If you want to read the backstory, go ahead. But I would say start with 2005. I have the first DVDs of it, so I can lend you that if you want.
Or it's all on Netflix.
Or it's all on Netflix.
Except for the newest season, which is 7 or 8?
Correct. 8.
8, okay.
All right, so essentially, what is the exact premise of Doctor Who? Because I've never gotten a clear beat on it.
The premise?
I'm going to let you handle this because I figure you would put it probably in a better. I'll help, but I figure you would put it in a better way.
He's the doctor. He saves the.
He's the doctor. That's what.
He saves the universe. Yes, granted, it is British made, so a lot of.
So he has his PhD in universe save.
Yeah.
Pretty much. He took a lot of classes, clocked in a lot of hours over his 900 years of being alive.
He decided that he did not want it to be in Gallifrey anymore.
That's his home planet.
That's his home planet.
So he is human, or isn't he?
He's Time Lord. He's another race.
He is, as they said it in the show, the Time Lords are a branch off the human race.
That's why they look human too. But they have 2 hearts.
Right, exactly. They have 2 hearts instead of 1 like us.
So they have 2 hearts, they just care more?
Like Care Bears, but better.
Yeah.
And in situations where they would die, they regenerate. However, if you actually fatally wound them while regenerating, the doctor could actually potentially die.
Yes.
So that's why there's so many different actors. There's multiple reincarnations.
Right. I knew it was a legacy character.
And he left Gallifrey, his home planet, because he wanted to explore the universe. So he stole a TARDIS.
Yes.
He stole the TARDIS instead.
That's the phone booth.
It wasn't a phone booth at the time.
Yeah.
What happened was it got stuck on the camouflage mode because it could be able to be camouflaged into any surrounding if needed. However, his thing got stuck. Now.
And so that's like his home base.
Yes, that's his spaceship that he goes around through time and space. It's bigger than inside and this and out.
It's always bigger on the inside.
That's one of the things I know about it without even seeing it.
Did actually fix the camouflage mode. He actually did fix it. He was the only one who could. However, I think it either got stuck again once he was the 7th Doctor, or he just said, "Screw it, I like it.
I like the phone booth."
Yeah.
So it's sort of like procedural, formulaic a little bit. Like each episode. Oh, here's this thing threatening the universe. Here's this thing threatening the universe.
But also with an overarching plot. It's continuous. Yeah. There's always a plot that keeps driving
the story.
Forward. Yeah, but
okay. So everything will relate to the next thing.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of it is related. There you get the occasional 2-parter, even 3-parter, but most of the time things can get resolved in that one episode. But it's amazing.
Not season. Each episode has a different story to it, different interesting story, not like some but very interesting, very thought out. I think. Mm-hmm. I mean,
different species introduced every time.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
So in 2005, the newest one it's preceded as the 9th Doctor's the warrior guy. He's always there in the front battle, trying to fight.
That was Christopher
Eccleston.
Yeah,
David Tennant was more of the charismatic. Well, sometimes charismatic, more empathy induced.
And David Tennant is when I started watching it.
So it's not like James Bond where it has to be the same kind of personality each time. Each doctor is a different person. They acknowledge it's a different person.
Yes.
However, but they also acknowledge it's the same person. If you can wrap your head around that.
Yes, the doctor is the same person, but every time they regenerate,
his different physical.
Yeah. His physical looks can change, personality.
So it's reincarnation.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Being regenerated is pretty much reincarnating.
He can but the thing is, he remembers his old predecessors.
And he remembers everything. Yes. So he's like space Avatar, not James Cameron Avatar, Last Bender.
Except he doesn't have crazy superpowers like that. But saving the world is a good ass superpower. So every time there's a new doctor, it's a whole different story. The writing is whole different than last time, so you're not always getting the same writing.
Yeah, it never gets boring.
What does he like have in terms? He's just a guy. Does he have like gadgets? Does he have like powers?
He has a sonic screwdriver.
It's very good at opening things.
It's very good at opening.
It's very good at opening things.
However, does not do wood or deadlocks.
Yes.
You can't do that until the 50th anniversary. Before, he couldn't do wood because, that's not really technology.
It's wood.
It's wood. Other than that, he does have some superpowers, but not like in the abstract, crazy, like lightning coming down.
Extremely intelligent.
Yes, extremely intelligent.
Brain is always moving faster than his mouth can, and when he's explaining things and just.
However, the recent one,
which I haven't seen.
Yeah, the 10th Doctor, he was able to taste things. If he tasted it, he'd know what it is.
Yeah, he could tell you what's in it, break it down. It was ridiculous.
So it's essentially a superpower that he's the smartest.
And he's feared by pretty much all other species. He's just the Doctor.
Any enemy species that have decided to get in his way, or anyone that is trying to take over the universe, they are very scared of him because
he's their biggest obstacle.
Yes.
He has a lot of enemies.
That want to take over the world but can't because he's always.
Well, not just the world, the whole entire galaxy and time itself.
But he's always there to protect the universe and protect them from taking over.
I definitely give it a shot. Yeah.
I mean, I will admit, Doctor Who is not for everyone. My mom only likes the old stuff with Tom Baker, who was the 4th Doctor. That was the old stuff back then. My stepdad, who got my brother and I into it, loves all of it. He has all these old episodes on VHS.
If you wanted me to go into backstory was First Doctor was actually a educational program.
Look what you got him started on.
I know. I knew this was going to happen. It was only a matter of time.
Instead of him going around in space, what they did was they took him and put him in different historical things. But then it's in the 60s, so space was and space travel and aliens were starting to appear more and more to the audience.
Yeah,
appealed more and more to the audience. So they were they ditched the plan of history, and that he was a grandfather, ditched that as well, and was more of a person that saved the universe.
I mean, at one point he actually does end up going back to Gallifrey in an episode and seeing other Time Lords. But I mean, there's just so many parallel universes and timelines. It's not too complicated. You can still follow it, but trying to explain it to someone who hasn't seen it, it's going to sound more complicated than it is. But I mean, I promise you, once you start watching it and give it a shot,
I'll definitely at least give it a shot.
I'll give you the first copy.
Cool.
They have anime Doctor Who in Japan.
Of course they do.
I'm surprised.
Of course they do.
I'm really not surprised by that at all.
Is she a high school? Is it a high school girl? Moshi moshi, watashi Dr. desu. So
other TV shows.
What I've been watching has been pretty much exclusively David Simon shows because I've seen The Wire now, and that got me.
I remember watching a couple episodes of The Wire with you.
The Wire is it's a huge time commitment because it's just. Each episode is an hour long. It's 5 seasons, but that is some of the best TV right there. And so I found other stuff by the writer, David Simon. So I found some of the Black Friday deals. I picked up Generation Kill, which is a show he made about the first wave of Marines that were sent into Iraq. And basically how they had no real idea what was going on because the country was still they were still riding the panic wave.
What years did it take place in?
All the years. I don't.
That's fine, but you just assume very early Iraq War, or just things.
It's some of the earlier parts of it. There are scenes where they go into they had to buy so much of their own equipment. They bought a lot of their Humvees and had to paint them over themselves. They were given forest camouflage in a desert environment. They show up and they're like, "What is this?"
That seems a little counterproductive.
It sucks all the romanticism and heroism out of it because there are a couple of guys there who are total psychopaths who are just looking for an excuse to shoot people.
Oh damn!
They got this one guy called They call him Captain America, and at one point he's firing on an empty bunker, and they're just standing watching him what are you doing?
It's standing there like that guy in Predator screaming, shooting at nothing, just
And they only have one interpreter.
How many of them are there? Just follow one unit or one squad or?
Yeah, it's this one group. It's a few recurring guys who are all in the same area. It's also really kind of darkly funny, the way they look at how there's absolutely no knowledge of what's going on. It's just a lot of their superiors just trying to improve their own careers.
playing the game.
Yeah, there was like an airstrike that hit. And so there's this episode where they send them out, the squad, to like search for evidence of like a tank being hit and blown up by that.
Just to show that it was useful in some way, shape, or form, and that we're not just doing stuff to do stuff.
Just like
right. They've got like some of the guys watching the interpreter and one of the like commanding officers looking for their way around. And
I'm sure people are friendly and also hostile. Like,
well, and that's the thing they get into. It's like, we don't know if these guys are going to have uniforms or not.
Right.
We could be wandering into anywhere, and these people could just have weapons and open fire on us.
Damn.
So they're watching the interpreter and the guy talking to this local, and they're just sitting back, and they're basically just making up the conversation they're having. Like,
so like red versus blue.
What do you think they're talking about? I don't know.
One guy's going like, you Americans killed a lot of sand. The sand was very, very evil. Observations like that. And like almost every episode, they kind of like break out into some song that's from like the time period. Even one guy asked one of the other soldiers to do his Big Gay Al impression from South Park.
Big Gay Al.
Like they won't know what the enemy is until these guys encounter it.
Right,
kind of
we
thing.
don't know who's friend or foe until...
One of my favorite bits is they've got a perimeter set up around this road and they're escorting people through it. And this one woman walks up to a soldier and she's like, thank you. At first thing, oh, well, you're very welcome, ma'am. She goes, thank you for giving me permission to cross this road that I cross every day.
Well, there was back when G4 was still a thing.
Go Monkeys!
Go Monkeys, yes. Bomb Squad, Afghanistan. Did you ever watch that at all?
Never heard of it.
Oh, I liked this show because it followed all the stuff that you don't see and hear about, which is what this is reminding me of going in with their heavily armored vehicles and all their equipment and just slowly traversing these roads in these areas and finding IEDs and trying to disarm them. And they just like, for every road that they like try and make progress on every day, they come back like the next day or 2 days later, and more of these people who are planting these IEDs, there's more of them. Like, it's the very realistic side, and the cameraman who's there with them in these vehicles is also in jeopardy and like in the line of fire.
Right,
like,
yeah.
He is right there, and it's the only way you can get the footage. Like, it's so real. Where they're driving, and then all of a sudden there's an explosion, and 3 cars back in the caravan, an IED went off, people are injured. Or a lot of the times the vehicle is stuck on the IED, like they go sweep and you get stuck and you can't move the vehicle.
Right.
No one can get out of the vehicle. You have to slowly get people to move in there and get there. They could also be start getting like under fire while trying to save their own. Like, it was so real. It just watching it, I'd stay up late at night and record them all and just watch it because it was so real. Just everything you don't see and hear about. It was just so... It was amazing.
Well,
Just so amazing.
This is how they end the first episode of Generation Kill. There were these guys in white pickup trucks. They just let them through because they didn't appear to be armed. And then later there are like all these refugees. They're trying to get away from the city where like all of the people who want to fight the Americans are in. And so they set up with the military, because they're like, we are obligated to like provide like shelter to civilians who are like, they're not involved in this. They just
Right, they're just there.
Right, so they want like shelter and whatnot. They want water, all this. But then they get orders from higher ups. They're like, we cannot take these people. You have to send them back.
To where they were trying to get away from?
Right, and they find out that those guys in the white pickup trucks that they let through, those were the kill police. Those were the guys who have to like kill people who are fleeing. And they're like,
what?
It's like some Mexican shit like that down in the border. Like, you can't flee, you can't go anywhere, or kill you before you get to America.
So they're like, you have to send them back to the place that's crawling with like the police who are supposed to shoot them.
Wow.
And they're forced to send them back. There is nothing they can do about it.
Wow. See,
like,
yeah, it's more of that realism, just really heavy shit that you don't just. It's like
a lot of people don't think about
unbelievable.
that. That just reminded me that a lot of people don't think about
Yeah,
that.
I know.
This fact that there are Mexicans that are actually part of the Border Patrol, and how horrible do you think that feels too? That's the same. That's the exact same thing right there. I mean, they're Mexicans, and they have to stop their own people from coming to America,
It's like,
and they might even have to kill them because they're still trying to get
See,
away.
there's just so much that no one really thinks about.
Like-
I like a lot of things that bring up that realism.
Most people
that
think
realistic side, or just the stuff you don't think about or you don't want to think about, or that you're never exposed exposed to that just kind of it just hits you where it's like, oh, like that's good stuff.
Right, that makes
really
that's
good
like the exact
shows.
opposite of like a lot of like escapist shows. Like not shows on the escapist. I love the escapist. I mean like the concept of escapism. Like
Yeah.
like shows like that are like, here, this is something you've never like.
Not Yahtzee, not him. He's cool.
Gotta love Yahtzee.
Yeah, you have
But
to.
shows I've been watching. I've been watching Arrow.
Wait, I don't mean to cut you. I just wanted to touch on Treme really quick, and then we'll do you. I'm really excited for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Treme is one of the best shows.
I just want to say.
Yeah. So
Way to go, Kanye. Jason West.
Treme is a show about New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like slice of life show about people like rebuilding. Like it starts 3 months after the hurricane hit, and I was summarizing it for my dad when I got the first season of it, and he actually summed it up pretty perfectly. He's like, so as opposed to what Hollywood would do, like make a movie about the hurricane, this is a series about rebuilding afterwards.
That's a good way to put it.
So they got 4 seasons out of it. I'm 8 episodes into the first one, and it is really good. They actually got a few of the actors who were on The Wire to like join in on this, and they also got Jonathan Goodman. It's the lives of just the people in New Orleans like trying to rebuild. You get a lot of the culture. You get to see a lot of like how everyone was affected, because like these are a lot of the people who either stayed or they just got back, and then
Can you imagine trying to stay
Oh, jeez.
during everything? Like,
There were some people that did.
well, I believe it, but just trying to imagine it and just put yourself there.
I'd rather not.
But like,
yeah, they're just like.
that's crazy.
The city also kind of developed a reputation that they're like, no, this isn't just party central. We've got all this
Oh, I know. I've actually
culture,
been
this
to-
historical stuff that we
I've
preserve.
Been there. I've been there.
Really?
Yes, I've been there.
I've
and
never been down to New Orleans. I really want to go
I've-
primarily because I do want to learn a lot
Hey,
about
They
the
prefer if you
Kanye.
call it Nolans.
Nolans.
Yeah, that's what they say. When I was there, they call it Nolans. They don't say New Orleans. They just Nolans. But when I was there, I did see a good portion of the destruction that happened with the hurricane, and it was massive. I was just this whole section of like nothing. Like some buildings would still be constructed, but most of it would be on the ground, just annihilated.
all
and
that desolate post.
I mean, you can see that they were trying to move on about it, but it was still relevant.
Oh yeah, a big part of it's always still gonna.
We
be
were
there.
what I was doing down there actually was because of it. I was we were cleaning away brush. I was in the SCA, which we were down there helping them out, and that's because of this hurricane, this devastation. So I mean, it's. I'm guessing it's still sort of not as big as a factor, but it's still a factor in their lives and them just trying to.
What would you say? Even SCA.
SCA. It's
Yeah. So what is that?
It's an association that helps out.
Do you know what it stands for?
I forget what it stands for right now, but it's more for environment.
Okay.
We were trying to like improve the environment, help the environment. So
That's cool. How long were you down there?
about a month.
Yeah, I don't
I was
think
in
you ever told me this.
That's the first time I'm hearing of this.
That's a really cool thing, dude.
Yeah.
I was in Kisatchee National Park, which is about maybe 40 minutes away from New Orleans,
Okay.
like more closer to the northern part of Louisiana. But
Maybe you'll pop in as an extra on the show and you don't even know it.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. We cleared up brush. We were helping everything, and we went down to New Orleans for a while. Went down to the French quarters. That was really cool. It was small but really cool.
Yeah, I'm sure you got to see a lot of cool stuff when you weren't like too terribly busy.
Yeah, we would have a whole week of going down, just camping out. We went camping out everywhere.
That's
it was
pretty cool. It makes me miss Boy Scouts a lot. Like
It was
a lot
like
of cool
it was
places.
like, I mean, we're old. We're all too old for that part. We're the age that we are now. We can actually be the leaders of the groups. So
That's still a cool thing, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ironically, at the same time I did something, I went up to North Dakota, like a mission trip with my church.
You keep misusing irony. I'm just.
Huh?
it's not very ironic. It's more coincidental than ironic.
I'm just being a dick right now. Actually, in the episode I just saw earlier today, they have like the first Mardi Gras party since the storm hit, and one of the guys has like the funniest sign. It's like darkly funny, but a guy's holding up a sign during Mardi Gras that says, "FEMA says the beads will arrive in April." Which is horrible, but good one.
During the time, FEMA was still had we weren't like went and talked to FEMA, but there were, we saw some FEMA people still, helping out when we were down, when we went and visited. So, but we had to look like straight up like hillbillies because we were all dirty and still stinky and like just because of all the work that we were doing. So it was a little hi. Ooh, get away from me. But
I'm doing a good thing, you still stink.
Yeah. But we stayed in Crips, and I got to we went past the stripper section of the French Quarters, which was interesting. The nighttime of French Quarters was interesting.
Get to be let by the little red light district there.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was a cool experience. I wish I could have done it again, but
No, dude.
I wish I could do something like that.
I was like 15. It was like sophomore year of high school. Back when I was still with the church, we did a mission trip to Mexico to build a house.
My mom did something like that. I forget exactly where Tijuana.
Juarez.
She was in Tijuana building houses for like a week.
Okay, go ahead.
So we get there, and then they're like, "Okay, here's the stuff we didn't tell you before you got here. So there's a serial killer that's been on the loose for about the past 10 years.
Holy crap!
And he targets women. He still hasn't been caught.
You were like, whew, I'm not a woman.
And so, like, the compound we stayed at, they were like, okay, so no one is allowed outside, like, alone, and at night, no one is allowed outside, period.
Jeez.
And you can't drink any water that isn't bottled. You just show up. So by the way, Death, have fun with that. Like, we drove past the little police shack. It was
Station.
all I saw of it was a shack. There were like 3 guys there, and there was a donkey. I don't even know if the donkey was part of it. There was 3 guys, and then there was a donkey.
Don't you remember in high school with that one Mexican kid? He was driving down to Mexico, and then he got like killed in his car. Like it was like burned. The whole car got burned with him inside it.
Well, no, but I'd believe it.
That would happen.
I don't
it was in high
particular,
school.
But
well,
it
it was just the Mexican community that all heard about it. But yeah, it was my freshman sort of sophomore year, and that was the thing. He was just coming down to like drop off or see his girlfriend's parents or something like that. And he was driving back. And
that's crazy.
I was just gonna try to tie into your red light story, but this is getting depressing.
Anyway, so guys,
I just wanted to say that we were headed for this restaurant. It's kind of like dinner and a show kind of thing.
Okay.
It wasn't red light like dinner and a show. I did see 2 cockfights.
That's a big Mexican thing.
Oh no, he said 2 cocked fights, not 2 cocks fight. Like
Someone hit him.
Boom.
Okay, but so
Trevor's dead. So
on our way back.
Hi.
On our way back, we kind of got lost, and so at one point we're outside this building. It's modeled like a movie theater, but basically there are 3 X's in a row on like the marquee.
Oh, it's not very inviting, is it?
It was inviting if you're a certain kind of person. Like there was a picture outside the theater, and it was of a shirtless man with a chain around his neck. You didn't see past the neck, but it was like from like neck to like torso, like right above the crotch area. And the windows were barred and had purple and red neon lights around the window panes. And one of the leaders is like, okay, I know we told you not to bring any cell phones on this trip, but if any one of you want to break that rule so we can call for assistance, now would be the time. We made it out, but it's just, I'm like, okay, we don't want to be stuck here.
Okay, any
topic
at hand. Well, we were
TV.
Initially talking about until we went to Mexico and I have seen, obviously, Doctor Who, like I was mentioning. I've watched Arrow. Arrow is a pretty good show.
I've been told to watch Arrow, and I want to.
It was a pretty good show. It's on Netflix, the whole season.
I've been recommended Flash and Arrow, and I'm just like, I'm not sure, just because I've been spoiled by like HBO
tends to spoil people.
like HBO quality effects, and I'm like, I'm gonna look at like, you know, TV broadcast effects. I'm gonna be like, will it work?
Show. I mean, it did work. It did work for him. I like how Deathstroke is like frenemy. He's like frenemy.
That's kind of a cool role. I can see Deathstroke kind of having.
He taught. If anybody remembers that Green Arrow was trapped on an island.
I'm not too familiar with my Green Arrow
mythology. The comics and everything.
Yeah, see, comic, that's your territory completely.
So they took that idea of him on the island, but they also decided to have stick Deathstroke or Slade, as mentioned.
Teen Titans.
At least he didn't say Teen Titans Go.
No. We all frown upon that.
So it was Deathstroke who trained him, but then Deathstroke, I'm not going to spoil anything.
Wait, he trained him?
Yes, that's what they said in the thing. And then other things happened. The concept of the TV show Arrow is pretty good. Yes, it has their own little spin on things, but not that badly. Most of the things are pretty good. The Flash does appear but before pre-Flash, before he became the Flash.
What was his actual name? I always forget.
Barry Allen.
I was gonna ask if they were doing Wally West or one of the others.
Barry Allen, the second Flash, I guess, because there's Gordon, the first Flash.
Flash Gordon, of course.
Chef Flash Gordon Ramsay?
No, go away. Just leave this room now.
I actually am thirsty.
Why do you kill everything?
So that's how they introduced that's how they introduced, the Flash TV series. The premise is good. The story is pretty good. It's a good watch. I would recommend it.
Yeah, one of the last times I was over at my parents' house, my mom and my sister told me they were hooked on Arrow. So I walked in.
Are you black? You look like Kanye.
Quietly go upstairs, get a drink, and come back quietly. May I? My throat.
Yeah, go.
You guys want anything?
Yeah, if you see like a tea in the fridge.
Well, just the Coke.
All right, I'll be right back.
Anyway, so Arrow's pretty good. I say it's a good watch. I know a lot about DC comics. I've read all of them. So
let's just segue into comics from that if you'd like.
Comics. I